Hello, friends, and welcome to Binge O'Clock, the podcast where we watch something and then we talk about it. I'm Joy Selden, and I've seen almost everything.
I'm Danielle, and I've seen almost nothing.
I'm Nella, and Fringe has got a lot of gall bringing Donald O'Connor into the 11th hour of this show.
You thought we didn't have any surprises left, but we had just one more.
And wow, was it a doozy.
Well, I think after a season and a half of the greatest hits of Fringe, they had to do something that was totally off the wall different. And Donald is something we haven't actually seen before. So good job.
Yes. One singular, unique, new idea.
Just the one.
Just the one.
Just the one.
But yes, friends, we are here talking about Fringe Season 5, episodes 10 and 11. Yes, we did decide to split them up. And we're going to be covering 10 and 11 this week, and then 12, 13 next week, and then there'll be a Fringe wrap-up. And then, who knows? We'll figure out some movies, we'll figure out some series. But for now, we're talking about
a bittersweet goodbye.
I don't know. I feel like Nella's pretty okay leaving Fringe behind.
Can't wait to tally up my swear jars.
I've gotten into that loop before, actually, where I really don't like. Season 5 is my least favorite season, and I've done that loop more than once, where I will want to marathon all of Fringe. So I'll marathon all of Fringe, and then I'll get to season 5, and I'll be like, oh, I must wash this taste from my mouth, and then I just go back to season 1 and watch it all over again. That's what I do.
It's not exactly a vicious cycle, because you're like really going for it. Like you're here, you're happy to be here. Yeah, I do this with other shows also. Like I'll get to seasons I don't particularly like, but I'll like forge past. And then I'll be like, but I really missed season 1 or whatever it was. Yeah. Whatever season it was that I really liked, and then I'll go back and watch that because I'm that weirdo.
I mean, clearly there's 2 of us just on this call, so.
Like
and 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
I will forge my way through all of Buffy.
Yeah.
And then go back and watch season 3. Because it's my favorite season.
Yeah. That is the sweet spot. That is the sweet spot of Buffy.
Maybe eventually we'll talk about Buffy, but today we're talking about Fringe.
And Anomaly XB6783746.
Oh my god, that freaking number. It's so long. It's so long. And I'm like, this is how I know I could never be an observer, because it's like, yes, of course you have to say the entire number. You can't just say the anomaly. You have to say the anomaly, the specific anomaly, and all the numbers that come along with it. And it's so annoying.
Which I guess implies that there have been other anomalies that were wiped out, which womp womp.
Yeah.
It only takes one.
Yes.
Only takes one to ruin your tower of logic.
Fascist Cybermen futurism.
I kind of like their ultimate plan, but should we discuss Michael before we discuss their ultimate plan? Episode 10?
Sure, yeah. I love having Michael back in the lab, you know, because like Michael's in the lab and they're trying to figure out how to communicate with him, and we get all the responses, right? Like we get Olivia not really necessarily asking him too many probing questions, but just kind of trying to be there for him. We get Peter, who's maybe a little more forward with the, you know, the logistics of the whole situation. Right. And then we have Walter, who just barrels on ahead. And I was like, of course you do. Of course you do. Of course you do.
Of course you do. I mean, and I don't even think this is Walternate Walter. You know, I think Walter thinks that that's Walternate taking over, but it's not. Walter, at the end of the day, Walter doesn't see Michael as a child because he isn't one. Because it doesn't matter how he looks, he's been alive for decades.
It's the Grogu problem.
Yes.
It is. Grogu is 50, as previously established.
And I kind of love that. I kind of love that the rest of the team is like, do you want some M&Ms? And Walter's like, no. This isn't how we're going to
ask him direct questions. But I mean, this is Walter all over. We've seen Walter in experiments, and he's very single-minded, and he's very interested in executing his hypothesis, and that's it. I also didn't like, I don't know. I felt weird that it was like, the child is nonverbal.
Yeah.
Why do you think asking him all these questions is going to help you get the answers?
It's kind of like when you are speaking in a language to someone who doesn't understand that language, and then you decide that if you talk louder and slower, maybe they will get it. And it's like, actually, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah, they still don't understand the words you're saying, no matter how loud or slow you say them.
Now, listen.
Or in Walter's case, fast and loud.
Fast and loud.
It was a barrage of questions.
Listen, they got there. Not everyone is a language expert, right? And not everyone understands that expressive language is different from receptive language. And he was having not only expressive language issues, but also receptive language issues. They figured it out.
It was all around. It was all around. But like you pick up this kid who's been staying with this couple for 20 years and it's like, and he hasn't said a word. He hasn't said a word. Don't you think that clues you in that he's literally not going to suddenly open his mouth and answer? It's fine. It just made it very frustrating because I was like, you are all so much smarter than this.
Yeah. Well, to be fair though, I think that Peter is smarter than that. Olivia and Astrid certainly are, but they're so panicked, I think, that they weren't necessarily thinking straight. And to his credit, Walter's solution to this was not to ask the same questions again, but to suggest that they put Michael into a coma and just deep dive. Because, hey, we've done that before and it works just fine. And that's when everyone else is like, but he's a child.
Tested.
He's like, well, he clearly can't communicate. Let's put him in a coma.
That will improve everything. Actually, it really won't, Walter. Please don't.
I mean, it worked the dozen other times they did it.
Well, but I mean, like, we also have actually, I don't know the interaction between the child and the team because I don't know what happened in this timeline. In theory, the child knows anyway, right? Because recognizes Olivia and like understands the M&Ms and things like that.
Olivia has her original universe memories, so I think that she would remember.
She does.
And so would Peter. She and Peter both have original universe memories. And so they would remember him and, the M&Ms and all that.
Right, but what I'm getting at is the episode where we met him was literally the same thing where Walter was like, let's drill something into his head to make something speak words. And then they were like, you're not drilling into this boy's head. And they were like, I can modify it. Oh, you didn't think to do that for the other man that you drilled into his skull with? Okay, fine. Cool.
I do remember that. You're right.
Now, to be fair, this is also an ambered lab where, like, who knows what's where? Who knows if that device is even still there? Like, whatever. But I was just like, you had a thing. You had a thing that worked before. You, Olivia, with your photographic memory.
Right.
Can't you be like, hey, Walter, whatever happened to that steel cage thing that you put
contraption? We put it on his head.
He could talk. But
regardless, that's what's happening on the team side of the episode. The bad guy side of the episode is focused on Windmark trying to track them down via this sublimation device, which I don't know. I think I kind of liked the detective work side of this episode.
I did too. I like that we got to actually see some of what the observers do other than not watch for fugitives.
Right. They did actual detective work. They were like, well, there's a sublimation machine. It came from this warehouse. Let's go to that warehouse and question everyone. Actually, one of the things I really liked about their investigation is that they used that sound wave technology from season 1, 2.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, the one where they read the window? Mm-hmm. Peter invented that. Peter invented that. I was like, yes. Now this is the kind of callback we need.
Exactly. Exactly. It was gorgeous because it was like, oh, you could just do that. And like, they didn't have to break the glass. They didn't have to cut a piece out. Nope. Like, they just did it. And then, like, zeroed in on a voice.
Yep. I thought that was excellent.
Yeah. No, I really appreciated that. And, poor Nina. But we'll get to that.
Poor Nina. Poor Hastings.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, while that was cool, Windmark and his goons really could have saved so much time if they had just been properly surveilling Nina from the get-go. instead of standing around
Yeah,
with
fair.
their metaphorical dicks in their hands, having to mind read all of her employees.
Uh-huh.
But, then we wouldn't have a ticking time bomb.
Right. No, that's fair. You're right. It was all contrived, I suppose. All the drama was contrived. But isn't everything in a TV show?
No, it truly is. But sometimes when you think I think a lot of, I'm watching the show, it makes me think so much about the sort of stakes that are in a really good spy Cold War movie where you're dealing with the KGB and the whole idea of you have to build a routine and never deviate it from it until the people tailing you get bored, and that's when you deviate slightly, and having to build up that routine and that rapport, and that just but constantly feeling all it takes is one person noticing you do something different, and that being, and there's never that sense of danger in this universe at all.
No, that's fair. And even hearing you describe that, I think that what's unfortunate is that if we had followed Nina's storyline, that's what Nina did. Because for 20 years, 20 plus years, she was just a very solid head of the Ministry of Science. She never deviated. She didn't even contact Olivia when Etta died. Because she knew that if she contacted Olivia to share her grievances, she would get flagged.
Exactly.
And the really terrible thing is that the instant she stepped out of line, she did get caught. And, spoiler alert, died.
Yeah. But even then, it's just
But she spent 20 years doing that. That's what she did.
Just she's out for her lunch, and she always takes lunch at 1. And again, she had that routine, but we didn't, it wasn't, I don't know. It was very strangely not.
We didn't get to see it. We didn't get to see all of the time that she put into creating that persona.
I would have been
right? Just like we didn't see everything that went into Broyles becoming the dove.
It is the dove.
The dove.
I thought you were trying to think of his title in whatever he's in. Is it the head of Fringe division still, or is it something else?
Oh. Yeah, no, I was trying to think of his code name.
Yeah, no,
but see, no, we missed out on that. Yeah.
I would have really liked to look, there were several episodes. We could have taken a break from the fetch quest, and we could have seen some of the history of what Nina and Broyles had to do.
Yeah.
We could have seen
that would have been cool.
Yeah, we really could have seen some of that. But I mean, I get it. You only have 13 episodes.
Yeah. I mean, just the living in a fascist surveillance state that is really bad at surveillance, we still could have done more about that.
End of thought.
End of thought.
That.
We could have explored that a little more instead of everyone wandering around and all of a sudden now there are checkpoints.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Again, because we passed the archway that triggered, the next boss fight, and so we finished all of our fetch quests up to that point, and now we're going into the boss fight.
Spawned,
and now there's no once it's spawned, you just have to push through to the end till you get to the next cutscene, and then
yeah.
I mean, I also I appreciate. Well, we'll get to that, but I appreciate that they did figure out eventually how to. Search for a thing that they were well, we just put a tag on him and we'll just activate that tag. But I think they were trying to convey the utter hubris of the observers from the future of just that they just either they don't care or they're already at the point of look, we're obviously overpowered. We will overpower them anyway. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter how far they go. It doesn't matter. We're going to win. We've already won. And they didn't do it
that's
well.
What the commander says. That's what the commander says, right? Really, Windmark just wants to take out this team because, like we said an episode or two ago, he caught feelings.
He did.
And the feeling he caught was, I don't know,
anger.
What would you call that feeling? Murderous intent,
jealousy. Well,
no, it's it's the they
he caught Javert.
No, it's not Javert. Because Javert is just no, I must see this through the end. You have broken the law, and there's all that is an affront to my dick. This is an affront not to me, it is an affront to the law itself. Windmark, this is an affront to Windmark.
No, yes, he takes it very personally.
He is taking this personally, And look, like I will say about this episode, like I felt a little bit like that Gordon Ramsay meme, like, finally some good steaks. like things are finally happening and like decisions matter and like time has run out. Like, and I'm glad we're finally here. Like instead of where we were to get up to this point of just like, just
let's grab another videotape.
I'm glad we're here. I'm glad like it did feel like we finally had stakes, you know, things that were important that were happening. Do I think it's a little ridiculous that they just so happen to have to steal the item from the same warehouse that the observers are reading people and Liv sees Haskins from across the room being tortured, and that's how she knows they're coming after, they're on to us. Oh no. Mm-hmm. That was a bit much, yes.
Just a bit much.
That's how the devices are organized. You know, anything that was related to the Fringe team or their cases is all in one warehouse.
I know that.
I guess.
Maybe. I don't know. It was just like I kept expecting. I almost wanted to do like the TikTok meme of like, and I look at him and she looks at me. And she looks at him and she looks at me.
You know what? I agree. I kind of forgot exactly how that moment played out because there was a moment where Hastings is literally looking her in the eye, where Windmark is literally looking Hastings in the eye and he's like, where are they?
I know.
Where are the fugitives? And Hastings is looking at Olivia and I'm like, is Windmark just going to like turn around and be like, she's here?
I was expecting that too. And now I have to literally make this TikTok though of like, now the more I think about it, the more I have to just make this TikTok with using the Weird Al song. It's done. I have maybe 3 videos on my TikTok and now one of them is going to be a goddamn Fringe video.
At the very end,
This will be video number 4.
At the very end, it's just Hastings being like, I'm sorry. What did you want again?
Oh no. It's too good. It's too good. It
writes itself. It does.
Yeah, if I make this TikTok, you're gonna repost it on the official Twitter, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Immediately.
Without hesitation.
But yeah, so I think, well, I don't know if my 2 colleagues here are avoiding talking about what happens with Nina, but maybe I am.
No, I mean not really. We have basically talked about everything else that happens in this episode. So now
here's what I have to say about Nina, and how Nina goes out, because Nina shoots herself. But I gotta be honest, Nina goes out the way, one of my favorite ways any character can go out, on her own terms, having taunted the bad guy. And
and that was a great taunt.
She digs that knife in and she twists. She hits a nerve when she calls him an animal. Like, and de-evolution doesn't work like that, but it was satisfying to see her just call him like a de-evolved version of a human. Like you're not, like, you've gotten rid of your emotions. You have to cock your head because of this, like, that's what lizards do.
Yes.
And like, look, did I want better for Nina? Do I want Nina to survive? Of course I do. I love Nina Sharp. Am I also glad that, like her bangs, she goes out with all of her secrets? Yes.
With her hair full of lies.
Hair full of secrets.
Yep.
Like her bangs full of secrets. But like, yeah, like I love Nina Sharp when she is in control until the end, regardless of the circumstances. That's my girl. And I love that when Mark can do nothing about it.
Yep.
She manages to hide the boy. She saves the kid, Michael, the not kid.
The not kid. She takes all her secrets with her, like you said. And I think another thing I really like about their interaction, on top of the lizard moment, is the way that she fights being red.
Yeah.
Because everyone else fights being read by creating this like labyrinth of thoughts inside of their minds. Yeah. And she's like, oh, no. The way I fight being read is to throw your questions back in your
exactly.
face. You know?
Because that is what she has done for the last, what?
Yes.
What are we calling it, 40
I'm
years?
sorry, you
running
know
a giant
Nina Sharp
conglomerate
has
company?
had to give testimony in front of Congress at least once. You know it to be true. Search your heart.
At minimum.
And want to know what the best part about this is? The very best part? Windmark. He doesn't even have the technology to get secrets from the recently dead people like Nina does.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
Guess what, bitch?
That was so good.
Even complete with a bullet in the brain, and we still got secrets. Like canonical secrets have been gotten from somebody who got shot in the head.
No, look, I'm never happy when a character I love that I've seen through all 5 seasons, like, comes to an end. But I'm glad, like, she went out because she made that choice. I'm glad she was able to do it. Her death was able to at least protect someone else. I mean, in a way, like, this was the closest thing I felt to, I keep coming back to person of interest. Like, when everyone starts dying in person of interest, a lot of those deaths feel a little like, why did you kill that person? I know why you killed that person, to make us feel like the hopelessness and to feel the stakes, and so that the other characters have to push through and keep fighting. But Nina actually feels like she went out. She was the queen that you take out, but you've lost the game. That's what Nina's death felt like.
100%. I always, like, obviously when I first saw it, I definitely, felt sad about it. But lately I just watch it and I'm like, yeah, you tell him. It's like, there's almost no sadness, because it's like, well, how else was she gonna go?
Right.
No other out for her would have been as satisfying, which feels weird, but it's like when you're talking about a narrative story, it's like the death of a character should mean something, either to push the other characters forward or to push along the plot or to do this, that, and the other. And like, it was just such a very solid character choice of like, better to take me out now than for them to get information I don't want to share, because gosh darn it, I've run this company for so many years and I've kept so many secrets and they are coming with me.
and it's back to the affront of Windmark, because one of his guys got too close to her, she got an out.
Yep.
And an out that for a moment he doesn't even compute. He doesn't understand that she would choose to kill herself. He thinks she's going to try and kill them.
Because it's not the logical choice. What?
And I
Why
love that.
on earth?
I love that moment where he does not understand what's about to happen. And then the way his face changes once it's done.
Yeah.
You done fucked up, Aaron.
So that's episode 10, kind of,
Pretty
in
much.
a nutshell.
Yeah. There's, like the little wrap-ups at the end. Walter is utterly destroyed by Nita's death. I don't love the character moment where Peter notices the video feeds in the room and they're rewatching Nina's death, and Olivia turns her face away from the screen. I think that's weird. I don't believe that our Olivia would do that. But putting that very small moment aside, they're finally able to speak to Michael, and then we get the big reveal, which we said earlier, which is that Donald is September.
I can't even. Oh, shut the front door. I think I love it, actually. And then I can't even. They let him scruff. But they gave him that really wonderfully, like, coiffed hair.
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you come for me like this with his sweater? With his button down under the sweater? How dare you? How dare you make this attractive for me? I hate you. I love it. Give me more.
Give me more. I despise you.
It's the biggest dad energy. It's the biggest. I teach like piano lessons for $10 just because I love teaching piano lessons to kids. Dad energy.
That's exactly what that is.
My name is from one of the first musicals I saw and loved.
Donald O'Connor, or get out of here, September. How dare you? Singing in the rain. And you pick the funny one.
He picked the
Of course
funny
he picked
one.
the funny one.
I can't. I'm dying. I was dying when I watched it. I'm dying now.
I think
It's
this
just
is the
so-
happiest Nella has been for anything that's been revealed in this show. I
It's
think
just
this
so
is peak.
beautifully human. It's just so beautifully human
Oh, it's perfection
and wholesome.
and letting Michael Severus finally like be able to use his face.
Yes.
Like,
I turned to Nella and I was just like, Michael Severus, who has won awards for musical theater, for plays, for acting, for all the things, finally gets to act in the 5th season of this movie. I'm kidding. He gets to act other times as well. But like, he finally gets to show other emotions that aren't lizard face.
and just being able to the mannerisms that are still September, but the stuff that's Donald and how open and how like the emotion he has, and when he talks about like what happened to him, how he was captured and they removed the device from his head, but how actually they kind of did him a favor by doing that.
And the regression, like some kind of weird psychosomatic regression therapy, which he was like, I don't really consider a punishment. So
yeah.
Good on me, I guess.
So good. It's so good. And then, of course, we also find out that Michael, you know, the anomaly, is actually like his, I mean, son. Technically, he was made from his genetic material, his progeny, you know, because in the future, you know, since we've gotten rid of all emotion, we don't need to have sex anymore. We just have tubes for that sort of thing.
And we don't,
So,
I
like,
guess we
that's
don't
why
need
we don't
women?
have women.
I guess we just don't need women.
I'll stick to the headcanon that the women and other observer types are off in their happy little bubble planet somewhere, living their best lives.
They're the Entwives.
They are the Entwives.
I will accept that headcanon. But yes, Michael is his progeny, and so he saved Michael, not actually for any... you know what? You all tell me your read on this, because I think maybe I need to think about it a little bit further. I don't actually think he took Michael with this plan in mind. I don't think that he saved Michael knowing how important Michael would be.
No, I don't think so either.
He saved Michael because Michael is his son, and he was like, this is my son, and I must save him.
Yeah, it was an emotionally driven decision, for sure.
I don't know.
I have questions about the timeline of this, because he was one of the original 12, like, and living outside of time, really.
Yeah.
Like, it does get timey-wimey of, like, but I feel like the decision to pull Michael out and to save Michael happened after he was observing humans.
Mm-hmm.
But, of course, before he saved Walter and Peter...
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere in between there, he hides his son away. I guess he was the one who hid the kid in the basement, you know, in the dark, because who's going to go looking for him there? But then again, like, you know, and a part of me is like, we didn't need to retcon this part. It's like when Walter's like, you were talking about your son when you were like, the boy's important,
yeah.
he must be saved. I'm like, that's stupid. We didn't have to do that. We really didn't have to do that. Like, because of that retcon, that means he does understand that Michael is important for changing the trajectory of the observers, and making it so the observers as they are never exist, that they're never bred to lose all of their emotion, because the boy is incredibly empathic and he has connection to and is in control of his emotion, but he is more intelligent than any observer could ever be. He's the perfect marriage of intelligence and emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Which, fine. Okay, fine.
I kind of like it, and I think the reason I like it is that, and maybe I shouldn't be surprised, right? I don't think this show is ever going to come up with a device that ultimately was just a weapon of mass destruction. But I'm really happy that it wasn't, right? I'm happy that they weren't just building a bomb that would blow up all of the observers. And that instead what they're doing is they're creating a moment in time that will just change the course of history.
You're just making yourself your good old-fashioned grandfather clause, you know? It's just a good old-fashioned, you know, time loop issue. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It'll work. It's fine.
Will it work? Well, they have 2 episodes to tell us whether
They have 2
works.
episodes to figure out if it's going to work.
Just 2.
I really like that the anomaly is able to, like, where Windmark and, you know, other observers of his kind can, like, read you and even ruin some of your memories, because that's kind of what he did to Walter. Like, granted, Walter's memories were scrambled to begin with, but he scrambled them even more. Basically, like, make you a shell of a person and clean you out. The anomaly does the opposite. He can give you memories of a life you actually never lived, which is what he does for Walter. And Walter is able to remember all, like, his entire life with quote unquote, with Peter. Yes, St. Clair's aside, but, like,
Yeah,
like,
but everything after St. Clair's.
yeah. And, like, well, had Peter never, you know, had the Peter from the other side never died, you know, and that whole storyline. And he's able to remember it as crystal clear as anything, which for Walter is a big deal. And I feel like Michael heals him in that way, you know, from becoming whatever it was Walter thought he was going to become. So congratulations, the storyline is pretty much squashed. You're welcome.
Yes. Now he's whole again, and he's the Walter of Peter and Walter. And hopefully we'll get some Bishop Boys action in the last 2 episodes, because
fingers crossed.
It's been a hot minute.
I know. I did really like you never liked public displays of affection.
But I just want them to science together one more time.
I know. But yeah, no, we get these, you know, like, I love how Donald is with Michael. And I love how he just kind of, like, stares at him in wonder and, like, doesn't really push him to do anything. Like, he's not bombarding Michael with questions. He understands that Michael doesn't communicate that way. Like, it's so tender, and it's just really, really nice to see. And I love it.
I agree. I love it.
Yeah.
And then there's the tail end of this episode, which is just a series of chase sequences, which are kind of fun, actually. I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, of course, like, in the one moment of maybe the observers were, you know, onto something, we find out September was chipped by them as part of his punishment. They cut the chip out of him. Of course, he's left a, you know, bomb in his apartment, but of course, Windmark and the other guy managed to escape. Not before Windmark feels probably rage from the dulcet tones of smooth jazz.
I've known some people who have been enraged by the dulcet tones of smooth jazz. I don't know how anomalous that is.
How much do you love the other observer just involuntarily tapping his foot, though?
See, that helps build the rage. How dare you?
I like the involuntary tapping of the foot. That's always my favorite, like, when you think someone's, like, not listening or gone or whatever, and then they start tapping their foot to the music. That's always a very cute reveal.
Yeah. But anyway, they escape the blast, and they're trying to escape, but there's, you know, a perimeter around all those checkpoints suddenly, but they're able, you know, if they can make it to the train, they might be able to get out of here. So then we have the train scene of them trying to get on the train, and then Michael, for reasons that are yet unknown, walks away from Olivia and exits the train into the waiting hands of the Popo.
Yes,
and
the loyalists.
The train doors close, and our team is whisked away while Michael, our only hope, is being led away.
To Windmark.
To face
Now,
Windmark, yeah.
You know, presumably Michael did this in order to save the rest of the team, because the loyalists were about to search the train. But I guess we'll find out. And also, where's Donald is just kind of a big question mark, because he had to leave them to go do something right before all the checkpoints were put up.
Of course he did.
And that's where we are. Oh, wait, I forgot. There's one more quote reveal at the end of this episode, which is that this show, like always, would like to put Walter at the center of things. And so in order for the plan to work, Walter must sacrifice himself.
Walter or Peter.
Of course.
Like, Walter has to sacrifice his control of something. Or, like, his whatever. Like, sometimes it's really abstract. But here, it seems really specific.
Really specific. Walter must sacrifice himself for the plan. And this way he can make amends for all of the terrible things he's done.
Well, you see, because we need there to be stakes, and we wasted all our stakes on episode 10. So now we have to, like, find more stakes. But, you know, they're not just lying around. You know, we kind of blew them all already.
And, you know, to be fair, Walter's the only core team member who hasn't died or been near death. Astrid got shot. Peter straight died / got erased from history. Olivia also died twice.
And isn't this really just a show about two fathers trying to rectify their mistakes? Isn't this really just the heart?
I swear there was an episode where Walter had, like, a heart thing. Or he was dosed with something.
I mean, I'm sure he's been dosed. But it was never like, you were shot in the head by a villain. You know?
His demise was never like a season-ending cliffhanger.
Also true,
thing.
yes.
Unlike Peter and Olivia.
And Charlie.
Yes, okay, in the episode
Let us not forget Charlie, season 1.
I know, Charlie.
The OG.
R.I.P. The OG Charlie. No, in the episode where the first time they put his brain back into place, a guy essentially poisons him and runs off and gives Olivia the choice of, you can either save Walter Bishop or capture me. You can't do both. That is the only time he's been... To be fair, it was scary at the time, and they did a good job with it, but it definitely was one of those really fast, like, he's in trouble and then he's not. So I'll give you that.
It lasted all of 3 minutes. We didn't have a Viking funeral for him, you know?
We didn't.
Oh my God, I forgot about the Viking funeral already. I forgot about it. Oh no!
You thought it was just a joke, Nella.
How did I forget about the Viking funeral?
How did you forget about the Viking funeral?
What the heck?
You've been asleep at the wheel. With the regular
It was already gone from my
coffin.
mind. It was completely gone from my mind.
No, you just blocked it out because you were like, they can't possibly be this stupid. They got everything wrong. But no, yes, we have to put Walter Bishop in trouble because you're right. This would be the first time, quote unquote, first time that he would legitimately be, you know, in his mind answering for the actions that he's wrought upon the world. But also, like, I really appreciate that, you know, Donald is very much like, you insisted. Like, we came together with this plan, and like you would not be swayed that this is how this would have to go down. I don't want to say too much more about it because I kind of remember how it goes down, and I don't want to spoil anything. So I'm going to stop.
We're not going to say anything about it. We're going to leave it at that. Except that seems like a very Walter thing to do. Of course he wants to atone for everything he's done. That's all that Walter has ever wanted. It's just the universe has never hinged on his existence before. And
where is the white tulip?
And where is the white tulip?
Questions I didn't need answering for 600, Alex.
I think we're at one more things.
Yeah, I think so. Do y'all have one?
Oh, yeah. Okay, hang on. All right. So in episode 11, where he's in the tank trying to, like, figure out where Donald is, and we see Donald in the apartment, and it's like, look out the window, see if you can, like, triangulate where Donald is. And he's like, oh, there's the bridge and the Empire State Building. And in the shot of the Empire State Building, and I believe they said it was the Williamsburg Bridge, but regardless, any East River Bridge any East River Bridge that is in the Queensboro. It's wrong. That image is wrong. If he's in Brooklyn, the Empire State Building is south of the bridge, and it's wrong. And it's wrong, and it should feel bad. It's wrong. It's so wrong. You did it wrong. Like, what were you thinking?
She saw the picture and she was like, that is not at all how that looks.
Not at all
I
how
felt
that
like I
works.
was like disconnecting from my body. It's like that's how wrong it looked.
But Nella, what other major landmark in New York would non-New York viewers be able to understand?
You have to have the
Put him up
Brooklyn
in
Bridge and the
freaking
Empire
Long
State.
Island City or Astoria or something, not like Dumbo.
Just put him in a neighborhood where you can actually see the Empire State Building, maybe.
Right? We
Yeah.
ask for so little in this city.
I think this is the Godzilla problem of like, of course, the Brooklyn Bridge, and it like you have to hit the most iconic bridge in all
my
of New
God.
York, and it's like there
Oh
are
my
4
God.
bridges on the
Fucking
way to the
Godzilla.
Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh my God. Just I'm like my head hurts just thinking about that movie right now.
No, it's a very good one more thing. I had completely forgotten about that because I was like, oh no, we didn't get the bridge rant. Where'd it go?
There it is. The
There it
bridge
is.
rant.
She saved it. Do you know yours? I think I have 2.
Yeah, mine is pretty quick, and it's just something that we didn't mention yet. And it's that kind of didn't mention. I really like the scene between the commander and Windmark. I think I really appreciate seeing Windmark being put in his place by a superior observer. I really like how how we were talking about how he basically is this middle management job throwaway human, not human, but
Future human.
I like that he has spent 90% of his waking hours on something that the rest of the observers view as entirely inconsequential. And I think it's...
Which is how you know he caught feels.
Which is how you know he caught feels. And my favorite moment, I think, in that scene is when the commander says that they have a 99.9999% chance of success, and Windmark does the thing that humans do. He brings up... He does the logical fallacy, right? Well, Michael only had 0.0001% chance of existing, and he exists. And the commander literally looks him in the eye and is like, "What's wrong with you?"
It's so good. It's such a good, like, you sniff out that defect. Like, I keep thinking about, like, August and, like, having this fatherly love for this human and for this past human and not being able to explain it to his friends and just being like, I can't, like, you won't understand. I try to tell you that she's special and you're not hearing me,
Yeah.
And it's this, like, this desperation of having these feelings and knowing the people around you won't understand them and feeling like you need to take it into your own hands.
Right, exactly. But I like that Windmark in that moment, like, it's like he doesn't know that he has feelings. He's been acting on them and is just in denial because he doesn't know what feelings feel like. And then he gets caught out.
Like a proper compartmentalized individual.
Yes.
It's not until someone goes, what's wrong, that you actually stand there and go, what is wrong? And Windmark has to be like, I've been having feelings. It's like, I've been feeling affected by events lately. He just, like, how on earth could he even explain it, right? Because even his superior is like, okay, well, they still don't matter. Like, it sounds like a you problem, bro. Like,
Yep.
All right, what are your
excellent.
2 more one more things?
Yes. So my 2, they're pretty quick. One of them is actually pretty personal to me, I suppose. Which I don't know how much I talk about it on here, but my day job is in out-of-home printing, which is like billboards and taxi tops and things like that. And the funniest thing for me is I appreciate that there are these posters up on the walls. So, like, wilding posters are still a thing in the future where we just slap up a piece of paper. And, like, there was even a dude, I think it was in the previous set of episodes, there was even a dude removing them. And I was like, I appreciate that advertising is still, like, a thing in this dystopia. Good job.
Good job. It is funny though, because when Windmark blipped to 23 something something.
Yeah.
I don't know, 300
hundreds
years
of years in the future.
It wasn't actually that advanced.
Right?
You know, it's not like when you watch, I don't know, pick anything that happens in 23 or 24 or something something, where all of the ads are floating in the air and, you know, those classic kind of sci-fi vibes. This didn't really have any of that.
I think we had like hologrammy things. You know, because like you could kind of see people like rotating under glass, but you didn't.
Yeah.
You're right. You didn't get a lot of. I did think it was kind of subtle, but I think if you like looked out the window, you could see the top of the Empire State Building being very low and a bunch of buildings much higher than it. So it gave you the idea that like everything is kind of built like above, like almost like there's an undercity and this is the overcity, which is still, I'm still foggy on their entire plan, but it's fine.
So are they.
Doesn't really matter. I'm not going to overthink it. But the other one more thing is very quick of just like, how do you know this is a dystopia? We have barrels that are on fire, and I'm pretty sure we had the same barrel that was on fire from one scene to the next.
Well, they're
in
like
two different parts of New York.
You know, it's like city bikes. You have to like go and pick up a barrel and bring it to like the location that you want to make appear like destitute and dystopian.
Exactly.
But then
it
like
is this
a little
little red barrel. But yeah, I was like,
that.
How do you know it's a dystopia? Something's on fire. Something is on fire that shouldn't be on fire.
All right. Did we do it?
I think we did
it.
That's it. I didn't think of my question, so.
That's all right. That's okay. I like our question anyway. I can't believe we're down to just 2 more episodes.
I know.
2 more episodes.
It's weird.
Does the plan work? Does Walter die? Join us next week, same time, same place to find out.
Same bat time.
Same bat place. Same bat channel. Wow. All right, listeners, we would love to hear from you. Please check us out at Binge O'Clock Pod on Twitter and Facebook, where you can answer the question, if you had to choose a pseudonym from a movie, what name would you choose? You can also email us at bingeoclockpod@gmail.com. And don't forget, we have a Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/BachPod.
That's right. And tell your friends, tell your family, tell your loved ones, tell the live lobsters in your life about Binge O'Clock, and we will see you next time. Yeah.
You done up, Aaron.
You know, you keep throwing the curses into quotes, and I'm just like, I can't keep those in there, but...
Well, it's a quote.
It's a quote.
It's a quote.
It's a quote. It's a meme. It's like 2 memes with, you know, the swear jars in them. We'll see what happens.
I just love giving you these hard choices to make while you're editing in bed at night.
I appreciate that. I definitely, you know.
And then the best part, listener, sometimes she looks at me and she goes, I don't know if I should edit this. It's a quote. And I just smile. Because I am the agent of chaos.
You are. I
don't know.
I would be Adelaide from Guys and Dolls.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's a great one.
I
would
literally
just go,
went to the
what?
Google
No.
and was like, Guys and Dolls. Wait, what was her name? Adelaide. That's it.
I would be Javert.
Of course.
I would go as Javert.
I love that for you.
Yes.
But then you have to have someone be your Valjean.
Well, obviously it's Hillary.
It's probably Hillary.
It's our friend Hillary. They will be my Valjean. And then just to confuse, you know, the baddies, we'll switch off every once in a while and they won't know which one they're talking about.
I have no answer.
That was an ongoing joke when we did Nerd Cabaret together. We would always like sing the confrontation song together, but sometimes they would be Javert and I would be Valjean, and then
they would trade off.
Switch.
Halfway through the song or between shows?
No, like between shows. Like
I was like, well, that's chaotic.
I mean, we would
Halfway
probably
through the
also
song
would have
would be
done that if we were
amazing.
drunk enough. I mean,
I would pay money to see that.
yeah.
You just switch lights. One light is red and one light is green, and you.